Little things, maybe. But it's that little extra that makes the difference. They seem to understand that. Now, it's up to you company bigwigs to help keep this stuff simple and affordable. May not be easy, but these days, what is? You listening?
Find out who's in the Crossfire Sunday, tonight, 7:30 Eastern on CNN.
Hello, I'm Catherine Calloway, and Future Watch is coming up. But first, we have the top stories for you. The Palestine Liberation Organization and Israel are meeting to find a permanent settlement to their decade-long dispute. The talks are the start of final status negotiations over the future of the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and Jerusalem. The discussions could go into Monday morning and are scheduled to resume after the May 29th Israeli elections. House Speaker Newt Gingrich today lashed out at President Clinton's veto of a bill that would have banned a type of late-term abortion. That procedure is used rarely when abnormalities would keep the fetus from living, and carrying it to term would endanger the mother's health. Gingrich today called the president's view, quote, extraordinarily extreme. Gingrich also took on labor unions and liberals, saying the support for a minimum wage increase would kill 400,000 jobs for the poorest Americans.
I fully expect to have a vote on the minimum wage, but let me make this point about the minimum wage. The unions are demanding a minimum wage with nothing for small business, nothing for family farms. So my advice, my recommendation is going to be that it be part of the welfare reform bill and the Medicaid reform bill, and that it have attached to it a very strong segment on small business and on family farms, lowering the cost of government, lowering so that they can create the jobs necessary.
Today's appearance was Gingrich's first Sunday talk show appearance since he announced he was putting his confrontational style on hold. The federal gasoline tax continues to fuel debate. Republican presidential nominee Bob Dole wants to repeal the 4.3 cents per gallon increase of 1993. Today, the president's economic advisor urged Republicans not to stop there.
If the Republicans really want to move on this front, cutting the gas tax, the 4.3 cent gas tax, and incidentally not, as you said, cutting the 10-cent gas tax introduced in the 1980s under their leadership, then they should come to the budget table to negotiate a balanced budget and say exactly how they would pay for that gas tax.
Ms. Tyson, again, talks for the president. I'm for all these things in the abstract, but when I get a concrete thing on my desk, I'm going to veto it. So the question is, will he be able to find a way to match his actions to his words and get something done?
President Clinton has ordered a Justice Department investigation of the rise in gasoline prices and ordered 12 million barrels of oil sold from the nation's strategic reserves in an attempt to drive down prices. Well, the calendar says the 5th of May, but to those of Mexican descent or just lovers of a great party, it's Cinco de Mayo. The day commemorates the 1862 victory by a small Mexican army over a larger group of French soldiers. That's the news for now. I'm Catherine Calloway. We'll have more news for you in about 30 minutes. It's time now for Future Watch, and here's Donna Kelly. Today, new life support systems under development may make a trip to Mars possible in the near future.
NASA tries going green as a way to help keep humans alive and healthy on long space trips. A new library in San Francisco is being built as the most technologically advanced in the world, and we'll check it out. And we'll look at the plight of South Africa's Bushmen. They're trying to keep their ancient traditions and culture from vanishing forever. That's today on Future Watch.
Future Watch, brought to you by IBM.
Hello and welcome to Future Watch. I'm Donna Kelly. The survival of one of the world's oldest, most fascinating cultures may be in jeopardy. The San people of southern Africa, commonly known as Bushmen, are widely believed to be the continent's oldest surviving race. Throughout history, they've maintained a nomadic existence. Pockets of Bushmen still survive in Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa. But Mike Hanna reports that maintaining their traditional way of life is getting harder and harder.
95-year-old Rehobstan waits for the death that he knows is near. Home for this proud patriarch is a squatter camp on the edge of the Kalahari Desert, and fences now bar his way to the vast expanses of land in which as a youth he hunted and gathered. When I was young, we would wander together through all the land, he says. I wish my children were also able to freely roam. But his children and grandchildren are penned into poverty, trapped in an existence of unemployment, alcohol abuse, and domestic violence. Some of the clan have found work, attracting tourists to a private game lodge. They converse freely with the visitors, offering an insight into another time, another place, and yet always the sense that they exist as museum pieces rather than living people. After the tourists have gone, the old dances are still performed, as well as the songs whose origins stretch back to the time when the first human voice sounded on the subcontinent. My father taught us this music, says Rehobstan's son David. And we share his dream that one day we'll return to our old ways. Farmers now till part of the land on which the Bushmen once lived. They will not move, and argue that the traditional hunting areas of the San lie not on private land, but within the borders of the Kalahari-Gemsbok National Park. The Bushmen have applied to the government for the right to return. But whatever the outcome, some believe, the old ways are lost forever.
They lost their true style, how to live out in the wild, and I personally think it will be dangerous for them to live in the park. They might get caught by lions or something.
But the dream will not be dashed. The skills of the hunter-gatherer are still being passed through the generations. The lessons of survival that Rehobstan learnt are now being taught to his great-grandchild. And as his life ebbs away, the old man says he has no regrets, no bitterness. To be close to the Creator is what makes me most happy, he says. There are no bad things in life, because everything is how the Creator presented it. Words that echo as Rehobstan's coffin is carried through the shifting sands. A vital link with the past is severed as the funeral procession crosses into the park where the old man and his ancestors once hunted. For the patriarch, the dream of going home has been realized, but the generations left behind are still in limbo. And after the burial, they walk back out of the promised land to their shacks on the other side of the fence. At sundown, the last survivors of the Kalahari San gather around the fire as their ancestors have done for thousands of years. While the children play under the stars, the elders talk, keeping alight the old traditions of the past, and still hoping that an ancient culture will have its place in the future. Mike Hanna, CNN, South Africa.
Time for us to take a break, but stay tuned. Coming up for you next, a look at experiments that may help make a trip to Mars a reality. And later, the high-tech library of the future opens its doors in San Francisco.
Future Watch is brought to you by IBM, solutions for a small planet, and by DuPont, better things for better living.
Elle devient plus petite.
Ogni giorno la rete globale di computer.
Pošperaj po dalekej starej bibliotece.
Gerðu litlu búin á Savanins að smá fjölþjóðafyrirtæki.
Curios? Vil IBM være hos dem?
This plug-in!
Messi, Wong.
I was driving down a road, and to my right, there was a rather deep pothole. Pow! I survived. That's a problem. You want to prevent potholes. DuPont's technology can make a road which will last longer. The chemistry that we use to modify asphalt is similar to the chemistry that we use to make other products. We can change the molecule so that it can be used in perfume bottles, roller skates, bowling pins. We can make golf balls that spin better. That was my idea. I feel like I have accomplished something, I guess.
Better things for better living.
A hologram captures all the information about light. You can see different things from different angles. Depth, the 3D effect, DuPont makes film that makes holography possible. In the future, holography could be used in book illustrations that pop to life. Heads-up displays is a way for motorists to save their eyes from fatigue. That kind of everyday problem is really what we do at DuPont. I've never thought anything was impossible.
DuPont. Tonight on CNN Presents, is this how you think of Cuba? Castro, cigars, and sugar canes? You should see their ball players.
I was impressed with the whole setup, really, to be honest with you.
Despite ragged equipment and poor facilities, Cuba's baseball fields turn out some of the best players in the world. How did they perform so well with so little? Meet Cuba's Boys of Summer on the next CNN Presents. Tonight, 9 Eastern.
NASA, America's space agency, is growing plants. Now, if that little fact doesn't get your attention, try this. The reason behind NASA's foray into horticulture is its desire to learn how to keep humans alive for long periods in space. Okay, are you thoroughly confused? Here's Lori Waffenschmidt to sort it all out with a report on some of the problems that astronauts might face on months-long missions to Mars or the Moon.
Imagine being shut away in a chamber like this for up to a year, living in your own little world. Scientist Nigel Packham hopes it happens to him sometime in the next decade. Last year, Packham, a Lockheed Martin researcher, spent more than 2 weeks cooped up in a chamber the size of a jail cell at NASA's Johnson Space Center. He was all alone with only a bunch of plants for company.
I spent 15 days in a 100-square-foot area to demonstrate that plants can keep me alive by producing my oxygen for me and taking up my carbon dioxide.
NASA scientist Don Henninger says the Advanced Life Support Program, as it's called, is a crucial part of preparing for long trips into space.
We'll have to recycle the water and the air, and even in the cases of long-duration missions to the Moon and Mars, we'll actually have to grow food and recover resources from the solid waste.
Nigel Packham says the plants proved to be responsive roommates during his 15-day mission to nowhere.
When I exercised, they in fact responded within about 10 minutes to provide more oxygen and take up more carbon dioxide. Quite remarkable.
And Packham says there were psychological benefits, too.
It also makes you feel a little bit like you're outside. It smells very different. It's like a breath of fresh air.
NASA is gearing up for another 15-day test, this time with a crew of 4 in a larger chamber. Anything that can be recycled will be, everything from air to shower water to urine.
Second level of the chamber is where we have all of our air revitalization hardware. So these systems remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere that's exhaled by the test subjects. We take the carbon dioxide and split out the oxygen molecule from the carbon dioxide for reuse in breathing.
This bioreactor, as I say, takes all the wastewater and removes all the organic material as it goes up. What you're seeing here are actually microbes or bacteria. May look pretty nasty, but in fact, they're doing a wonderful job microbiologically. This is the water we actually end up with. This is the clean water, which is much, much cleaner than you'll ever drink at home.
A year from now, NASA plans an even longer test, one that'll require 4 people to live in a larger, multi-level chamber like this model for up to 3 months.
How those folks interact is going to be one of the more interesting results of that test.
And when it comes time for the ultimate test, an experiment that'll last a whole year, Nigel Packham says he hopes he's one of those chosen.
Well, actually, it really wasn't as bad as it looks. Once you get over the initial shock when the door is closed, and as long as you're not claustrophobic, I have a window that I can look out on the outside world, and there's always someone out there. So, no, I didn't feel lonely at all.
Packham says this research, though complex, is critical as America prepares for future space missions.
If I really didn't think we were going to go back to the Moon or to Mars, I wouldn't be at my job every day. And I think that's the only way we're going to get there is by actually showing that we can keep people alive for periods of up to a year in chambers like this.
Lori Waffenschmidt, CNN, reporting.
Tomorrow Today appears on CNN's Future Watch and Science and Technology Week. Brought to you by IBM, solutions for a small planet.
で、お子さんたち新しいコンピューター気に入ったの？
それがまだ立ち上げてないんだ。何しろ僕は不器用なもんでね。
うちじゃあ千葉がみんなに大人気。IBM のホームコンピューター、CD ラムがついてて、ソフトもいっぱいあるし、箱から出してすぐ使えるようになってるんですよ。
社員でもセットアップできるってわけ？
腕はいらないのよ。
Want to make painting easier? Change your roller to a Wagner cordless power roller. There's less mess, less hassle, and less bending over because you control the flow of paint. So you can just keep on rolling. In fact, with the power roller and its accessories, you'll get professional results nearly twice as fast. It even turns cleanup into an easy job. So get a cordless power roller from Wagner and transform every room in your house.
Why float through life when you can drive?
Long titles are out. Teams are in. Inboxes are out. Emails in. Travel like this, out. Travel like this, in. Walls are out. Wheels are in. No matter how far out stuff gets, we'll always have what's in. Hayworth, furniture for what's next.
Say the word library, and what pops into your mind? Books, of course. And now say the phrase 21st century library, and what comes to mind? Chances are it'll strike you that libraries might not just be for books anymore, and of course you'd be right. Here's Fred Wayne with a report on one of America's newest libraries, the new main library in San Francisco, designed for the 21st century, loaded with technology, sensitive to the culture and style of the city it serves.
The first thing that strikes visitors is the light flooding the library's central atrium.
That's actually what I like about it the most, is the natural light.
The next thing is the number of computer terminals. They're everywhere, on every floor of the 7-story building.
We're looking up Wallace Stegner books for quotes.
San Francisco's $137 million library is the most technologically advanced in the world.
As a public library, we wanted to make the information, this revolution in information, accessible to all San Franciscans.
Visitors can surf the internet or watch videos and play CDs in the Audio-Visual Center. Kids explore cyberspace in the Children's Center by using a special catalog divided into 3 age groups. And a first-of-its-kind network of more than 200 so-called walking signs guides visually handicapped people through the building.
5-8 floor, please, R236-585.
And it'll tell you where the elevators are, exits, entrances, you know.
San Francisco's history is preserved in a center with city records dating back more than a century.
We have a historic photograph collection, about 350,000 historic photos of San Francisco before the 1906 earthquake and after.
Along with the high-tech gadgets, the library also has good old-fashioned books. In fact, more than 1 million of them, along with 50,000 government documents of various kinds. The library is home to a gay and lesbian center, the first to be integrated into a major municipal institution from the start. Other centers also reflect the city's diversity. Thousands of people have come to the library in the week since it opened, and applications for library cards are breaking records.
It's a feast instead of just a little portion over here. It's our floors upon floors. It's a banquet, I guess, because I love to read.
The new library is expected to feed the hunger for knowledge and information into the 21st century and beyond. Fred Wayne for CNN, San Francisco.
Valedictorian. It's a 250-year-old word that means the student having the highest rank in a graduating class. Traditionally, U.S. high schools have singled out valedictorians for special recognition at graduation time. But that's a tradition that's fading, even disappearing in some places. Robert Vito reports more and more American schools are deciding that officially designating a single student as number one may not be that important anymore.
long-standing tradition. At graduation, a high school honors its valedictorian and salutatorian, the number 1 and number 2 academic achievers in the graduating class.
It's my honor to introduce to you Miss Jennifer Vanderquast Valentin.
But the practice of honoring these young achievers is under fire. About half of all U.S. high schools have stopped or are stopping the competition, according to a national survey of school administrators.
That tense pressure that those kids are in, they shouldn't be.
Critics say the race to be number 1 or number 2 in the class pits students against students and is emotionally unhealthy, and they want the honor eliminated. But some students involved in that race disagree.
All right, what else did anybody use?
In this advanced senior English class at Western High School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the valedictorian competition is a hot topic.
I think it's ridiculous that people want to eliminate it because it's something good.
The 3 candidates for the top academic spot at this year's graduation are students in this class: Kiara Bridges, Melissa Droller, and Allison Griffin. All have identical grade point averages and straight A's since they were in grade school. All 3 say there is no jealousy among them. They're good friends, and they say critics are overreacting.
I mean, I never really, sat down and said, if I'm not valedictorian, I'm going to just kill myself.
But a task force in their school district has formally recommended dropping the race for valedictorian, pointing to the stress the competition causes. These students say that's not realistic.
You go through college, there's a job market. The whole world out there is full of pressure and competition. It's not something you're forced to do, so it shouldn't be an issue.
Western High's principal wants the practice of naming a valedictorian stopped. He agrees with other administrators who say it's unfair to students who don't get academic recognition, but deserve it.
I don't have just 1 or 2 really brilliant young people. I have quite a few.
To lessen the pressure on these top students, the principal abruptly called a halt to the race for valedictorian and declared it a tie. All 3 will graduate valedictorians in Western High's class of 1996. As for the bright young students who will share the honor, they don't mind at all. Robert Vito, CNN, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
We have to step aside for a moment, but don't you go away. Coming up next, the Graffiti Blaster sets its sights on cleaning up urban eyesores.
Someone's aiming at Bob the Nailer, the crack marksman who's tracking down his father's killer. He wants revenge. Somebody else wants him dead. Now, Bob is back in Black Light, the new thriller by Stephen Hunter. A terrific book, says Elmore Leonard. Now, buy Black Light and get Point of Impact, the first Bob the Nailer thriller in paperback, free.
Why float through life when you can drive?
Monday on CNN Talkback Live. Why are more and more kids committing criminal acts? Former Vice President Dan Quayle says it all starts with the family. He'll tell you how to get America back on track. Monday, 3 Eastern on CNN.
Graffiti is a blight affecting urban areas all over the globe. Until now, removal strategies have either been too costly, environmentally unsound, or just plain ineffective. But a new method which uses a laser may offer cities new hope in their battle against graffiti. Susan Reed reports.
Graffiti is not only an eyesore, it's a kick in the pocketbook. Across the United States, it's estimated the cost of cleaning up graffiti is $7 billion a year. In California, the legislature is considering a bill that would ban all spray paint sales unless they're attached to a power source like electricity. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you could just make it disappear, like magic, with no environmentally hazardous residue left behind?
Shutters open. Okay. Later on.
Well, scientists at Lawrence Livermore Lab have beat their swords into plowshares and turned the weapons of the Cold War, Star Wars lasers, into inventions the public can use. In this case, a graffiti blaster.
I'm directing the beam by tilting this mirror very slightly and making the beam walk across the brick. This is a very large pressure wave which pulverizes the material on the surface. It breaks it off in little pieces and comes off as a dust.
Leaving the surface underneath the graffiti unscarred, which is not possible with sandblasting or spraying baking soda.
It can be faster. It can remove a lot of material quickly. We believe it can be as cheap or cheaper. And it can be environmentally beneficial. It will not have any of the environmental problems that removal graffiti has right now.
But there is one big problem: cost. This demonstration is in the lab. A commercial device would cost about $250,000. Too much even for Los Angeles, where the county spends close to $100 million a year on graffiti removal. Livermore lab scientists are getting industry involved, hoping to bring the cost down and make graffiti removal as easy as it is to spray that graffiti on. Susan Reed, CNN, San Francisco.
And that's our picture of the future for this week. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Donna Kelly. Next week on Future Watch, get ready for a ride on the most advanced bicycle ever made. The only way you can get a closer look at Superbike 2 is if you are a U.S. Olympic cyclist.
Closed captioning was provided by Bell Atlantic, the heart of communication.
Hi, I'm Jean Meserve in Washington. The top stories are just ahead, but first here's Byron Miranda with the weather. Byron?
Good afternoon, Jean. Severe weather continues through parts of the central U.S. Take a look at the radar summary map. Quite a few thunderstorm watch boxes, almost 4 watch boxes all the way from Missouri now through parts of the Carolinas into Virginia. They've seen some heavy winds, high winds, I should say, through parts of Missouri, up to 91-mile-per-hour wind gusts through sections there. Rain, heavy rain, 1 to 3 inches of rain through sections of Missouri since 7 a.m. this morning. Showers right now through the Ohio Valley. They'll see more rain, maybe a thunder shower into Cleveland as well as into Cincinnati. Indianapolis has been seeing some heavy rain. Up in the Northeast, dry now, but New York City, D.C., you will see some showers, but it should be dry down through Miami all the way through the Southeast, through Texas. Right now, you see the little green here. That's Virgo. That's rain that is not reaching the ground through Texas. Continued quiet through the Southwest. 100 degrees for Phoenix, and that will be the case all the way through Saturday, between 100 and 99. So continue dry through this section, dry through Southern California up towards the Pacific Northwest. Monday, high pressure dominating the western half of the nation. Pretty quiet out there, but the rain will continue through the Tennessee Valley, through parts of the Northeast, dry through the Southeast. Now back to Jean in D.C.
Thanks, Byron. At the top of the hour, we'll have a news update, and then it's Science and Technology Week. Miles O'Brien has a preview.
Car security systems aren't just for break-ins anymore. Some new ones include components designed to foil carjacking. I'm Miles O'Brien, and that story is coming up on Science and Technology Week.
Monday night on Larry King Live, Gloria Vanderbilt's heartbreaking memoir of a son's suicide. Monday night, 9 Eastern on CNN.
Looking for some family fun? Then join us at the Rose Garden May 11th and 12th for the 1996 Northwest Parents and Kids Expo. There will be a performing arts stage with the Portland Youth Philharmonic and several pavilions featuring science and technology, health education, lifestyles, sports mania, plus the Parents Kids Expo presents the educational Safe Moves Bike Rodeo. Grab the family and get on down to the Northwest Parents Kids Expo May 11th and 12th at the Rose Garden. For more info, call 1-800-991-9355.
You know, no matter how you look at it, the coolest website in the world isn't on a computer. It's in Autzen Stadium starting September 7th. Call for your tickets now and click on the decks all season.
You have to want the pressure, the pain, those 2 points more than anything else. If you're going to win it all. The NBA playoffs. 30 nights of pure desire. The playoffs began April 25th on TNT.
Brought to you by the Ron Tonkin family of dealerships.
cars are the same, Tonkin makes the difference.
This is the IRS. They employ 5 times more people than the FBI. Washington's priorities are upside down. I'm running for Congress to cut wasteful spending, reduce taxes on working families, and balance the budget. As a legislator and treasurer of Oregon, I balanced 4 budgets, led the fight to repeal the inheritance tax, and cut taxes on families and small business. That's a key difference between my opponents and me. Give me your vote, and I'll do in Washington what I've done in Oregon.
This is CNN.
And welcome back to CNN Weekend. Science and Technology Week is next, right after this news update. It went into effect 3 years ago, but a 4.3% gasoline tax hike is turning into a hot issue in this year's presidential campaign. Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole, the likely Republican nominee, says he will introduce a bill this week to repeal the tax. Democrats say the revenue loss would have to be recouped somewhere.
We are willing to discuss a tax cut on gasoline with the Republicans if they're serious about it, but that's a budgetary item. It needs to be discussed in the context of full-fledged balanced budget negotiations.
If we can have the discipline to look at where federal dollars are doing good and where they're not, let's look at it clear across the country. And let's look across the entire budget. And I have to tell you, as a former professor, I am very disappointed at how much declining value we're getting there. But let's get the tax taken care of for the highways, and if in fact we can get some discipline in the use of our education dollar, I think we can make up the difference.
President Clinton has not said whether he would veto a repeal of the gas tax. Palestinian President Yasser Arafat is predicting a win for Prime Minister Shimon Peres in Israel's May 29th election. Arafat tells the New Yorker magazine that while the election will be close, Israel's military offensive against Hezbollah has strengthened Peres with Israeli voters. Meanwhile, Israeli and Palestinian negotiators are gathering in the Egyptian resort town of Taba for the final stage of peace talks. The talks are aimed at brokering a permanent agreement on full Palestinian control of the West Bank and Gaza. In Paris today, fire gutted the headquarters of the government-owned bank Crédit Lyonnais. It took some 250 firefighters more than 10 hours to contain the blaze in the historic 19th century building. Officials say more than 30 people suffered minor injuries. Crisis is no stranger to the bank, which required a state bailout last year. It took more than a week, but firefighters in Arizona finally have the upper hand against a blaze in Tonto National Forest near Phoenix. It consumed an estimated 61,000 acres of scrubland before being fully contained Saturday. A smaller fire threatened homes near Flagstaff Saturday evening, forcing more than a dozen families to evacuate briefly. Hollywood is mourning the death of character actor Jack Weston. Weston died Friday after a 6-year battle with lymphoma. His 40-year career covered Broadway, television, and the movies. He appeared in such films as Wait Until Dark, Cactus Flower, and more recently, Dirty Dancing and High Road to China. Jack Weston was 71. And that's a check of the top stories. We'll have more at the bottom of the hour. Now stay tuned for Science and Technology Week.
Ahead on Science and Technology Week, a super cycle. The U.S. cycling team unveils a secret weapon that it hopes to pedal to victory in this summer's Olympics. Also, putting the brakes on carjacking. New car security systems automatically call for help if there's trouble. And drumming up business. Ancient instruments from around the world take their place in modern music. We'll sample those stories and a lot more up next. Hello and welcome. I'm Miles O'Brien. In most Olympic sports, the quest for a gold medal is fueled by tenacity and some technology. After 3 years of research, the U.S. cycling team is confident it has found a winning mix of innovations. The new Superbike, unveiled this week, is built with space-age materials and engineered to be aerodynamically slick. U.S. Olympic cyclists hope the bikes will perform some alchemy this summer in Atlanta. Larry Smith takes a look.
It's been 4 years in the works. Superbike 2.
narrower, shorter, faster, stronger, lighter bike.
We've reduced the weight, we've increased the stiffness, we've reduced the aerodynamic drag.
I think we're pretty confident this is the fastest bike out there.
For the U.S. team, that wasn't the case at the 1992 Barcelona Olympics.
92, you get out there in the warm-ups and everybody's got their bikes and everything, and you're like, well, geez, you know? I wish we had that kind of stuff. And now, the shoe's on the other foot.
It's on the other foot because after a lackluster performance at the 92 Games, where a highly touted U.S. team won only 2 bronze medals, U.S. Cycling went back to the drawing board and formed Project 96, a $12 million program whose primary goal was to come up with the most aerodynamic bike in the world.
Every place on the bike that we see the wind coming across it, we have paid attention to that and made amends to make the air flow over it smoother and better.
Tests at the General Motors wind tunnel proved that the bike is indeed an aerodynamic masterpiece.
The fact that they've tested so fast in the wind tunnel gives us the advantage of knowing that we're going to be the fastest, most well-equipped team on the line when it comes to Atlanta. So that's a huge advantage psychologically for us.
Psychologically, it makes a huge difference, getting on the line, knowing that you're not impaired by anything, that nothing's going to hold us back. It's all going to be our training, and our training program is better than it's ever been before. So there's really, I guess, having the fastest bike, just no excuses when you get to the competition.
But everyone involved in Project 96 knows that a bike alone, even a super bike, won't bring home gold in Atlanta.
The bottom line is it always comes down to the engine.
The bike doesn't propel itself. But, it just helps us get there a little sooner, we hope.
Larry Smith, CNN Sports.
The developer hopes to market the bikes after the Olympics, but only to well-heeled cyclists. They're expected to cost about $10,000 each. Of course, there's no better way to save gas than ride your bike, but sometimes only a car will do. And the big 3 automakers, with help from the Department of Energy, are using some of the same technologies in that Olympic bike to make their cars more efficient. Some prototype cars of the future were on display this week, like this Ford for the Future. It's made of aluminum with a 1-liter engine and a 5-gallon gas tank. But that's more than enough when you consider it gets 80 miles to the gallon. But before you jump into that gas guzzler, automakers tell us these concept cars won't be in showrooms for quite a while. A secret piece of aviation history went public this week. It's an experimental aircraft called Tacit Blue that was tested in the 80s. While it may not win any awards for styling, it wasn't designed to be pretty, just invisible to radar. So this was a forerunner of today's B-2 stealth bomber. The first and only prototype of Tacit Blue made 135 flights before it was mothballed in 1985. The project was so secret it required a special clearance beyond top secret. Now the plane is headed for a museum. It's time for us to take a break. When we come back, we'll see how today's car security systems protect drivers against dangers, including carjacking. Stay with us for that.
Science and Technology is brought to you by Sprint, the communications company that moves as quickly as your business. With Sprint, you can be there now.
Honey, look, it's her. That lady from the Sprint commercials about 10 cents a minute.
Hi, how are you? I just love your dime a minute rate.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Me too. It's good anywhere in the country. And now I hear you can call all the way to Canada for a dime.
Canada? Really? Oh, look at that. Special on paper towels.
Time to Canada? That's bigger news than anything you'll find in there.
This? Oh, this isn't mine.
Call now to get 10 cents a minute across the U.S. and now even to Canada.
The fact that dairy foods and my stomach don't agree won't keep me from enjoying every bite of ice cream. Now, before I eat dairy, I just take Lactaid Extra Strength, stronger than the rest. New Lactaid Extra Strength has 50% more of the natural ingredient that helps make dairy foods more digestible. Cherry, chocolate, vanilla.
New Lactaid Extra Strength. Call 1-800-HELP-KID for a free sample and information.
The sun's up at Bay Hill, and what a lovely day for a drive. But don't forget to keep your head down, because Bay Hill is Arnold Palmer's place, and the rough edges are there by design. So who helps the business end of this legendary club run smoothly? Office Depot.
Taking care of business.
Office Depot guarantees low prices and 100% satisfaction. Because when you're responsible for the big picture, even small details are important.
Taking care of business.
A Rude Central air conditioner is built so well, it might just last you till the next ice age. Heck, a Rude air conditioner cools so well, it might even cause the next ice age. You can rely on Rude.
Special financing now available.
Car alarms do a great job of making noise when a car is being broken into, and sometimes even when it isn't. But today, many car owners are less worried about break-ins than they are about carjacking. New security systems are addressing that fear with packages of technology designed to outfox carjackers. Ann Kellen reports.
Earlier this year, schoolteacher Kathleen Weinstein used a hidden tape recorder to capture the voice of a carjacker who had kidnapped her and her vehicle from this New Jersey shopping plaza. Although technology helped authorities arrest a suspect, it unfortunately did not save her life. Weinstein was one of many victims in recent years who've fallen prey to a growing number of crimes directed toward motorists.
We felt like that there was a need out there to protect the occupant more so than the vehicle itself.
Sam Johnson is the creator of CarCop, one of several new high-tech security systems that use orbiting eyes in the sky to keep drivers safe on the road. The unit works by using signals from a network of satellites circling the Earth. This network, known as the Global Positioning System, or GPS, can help authorities track a stolen or carjacked vehicle. CarCop combines a small GPS receiver with a computer-based car alarm. A cellular phone links the unit with an emergency response center.
Hello, this is operator 248 with ADT Security Systems. May I have your password, please?
Yes, it's Auburn 1. If anything should happen to them, immediately a professional operator at the other end is there to provide emergency services.
Through the use of satellite GPS signals, CarCop enables the response center to determine the vehicle's location almost anywhere in the United States.
So we're actually seeing his vehicle traveling down Fulton Expressway, which is actually just got off of Fulton Expressway.
Johnson says CarCop even features protection against carjacking. Whenever a vehicle door is open, unless the driver keys in a deactivation code, the system will silently contact an emergency response center. At the response center, operators assessing the situation can quietly listen to what's going on inside the vehicle and send emergency help as the situation warrants. The operator can also communicate directly with the driver.
This is operator 248 with ADT Monitoring Services. Can I have your authorization code, please?
Yes, it's Sonia.
Okay, Mr. Tasha, how can I help you today?
But what if a savvy carjacker demands the driver disable the system by keying in his personal deactivation code? Not a problem, according to Johnson.
They can put a distress code in. That works just like a home security system where you put a 4 digits, a unique 4-digit code, not your disarm code.
And if that happens, Johnson says, the monitoring operator instantly knows a carjacking is underway. Both General Motors and Ford have similar systems available as an option for some of their cars. But the makers of CarCop say their device is unique because it can send help when the driver needs it and can't ask for it or take action to get it.
It doesn't require human intervention to go into the alert mode. It requires human intervention to deactivate it.
Most of the new security systems sell for between $700 and $1,000. CarCop joins the ranks of other systems that can be bought for less than $1,000. Ann Kellen, CNN reporting.
After we take a break, we'll find out why some scientists are tossing their valuable instruments into the ocean.
So what's it gonna... Hey, it's you!
Howzer.
I'm a big fan.
Really?
Yeah, I just love your Diamond Minute race.
Oh, well, actually, that's Sprint's Diamond Minute race.
Don't be so modest. It's great.
And it's good forever. You know how I count out my tips now? I take the dimes and I go 1 minute, 2 minutes.
That's nice. I'll have the soup.
Hey, Rocco! Look, it's the dime lady!
Oh, boy. Sprint's really started something.
Call now and get 10 cents a minute across the U.S. and now even to Canada.
Boca Research believes that sometimes you just have to go out and conquer the world. Oh, sure, people may shake their heads, call you a dreamer, or even laugh. But at Boca Research, we're not afraid of the impossible. Our products are designed and engineered to improve virtually every part of the computer, helping people around the world discover new ways to reach their goals. So go ahead, conquer the world. We'll supply the technology. Boca Research makes your PC come alive.
Mio papà lavora per l'International Paper Italia.
Francesca's father makes recyclable cartons that are replacing wooden boxes worldwide.
Mio papà fa delle scatole forti, che ci mettiamo dentro di tutto. L'insalata, i pomodori. A me i pomodori proprio non mi piacciono per niente. Per fortuna che ci sono le scatole di papà e le mando tutti via.
International Paper. We answer to the world.
On the Rue de Chaison, a minivan meets up with some adventurous souls. In a city by a bay, a Jaguar rendezvous with a resourceful accountant from Des Moines. We're in a simple business here at Budget Car and Truck Rental. It's about joining the right vehicles together with the right individuals all over the world. And when you see people as individuals, it makes a big difference in the way you treat them. Budget. All the difference in the world.
A NASA spacecraft is shedding new light on the sun, and if you thought not much goes on up there, you're dead wrong. New pictures taken from the recently launched satellite SOHO show long, spike-like plumes shooting off from the polar regions of the sun. Up until now, the sun's poles were thought to be relatively free of the intense electromagnetic energy that causes sunspots and solar flares. And finding the plumes right now was even more surprising, since scientists don't expect another sunspot cycle until about the year 2000. Curious children have done it for years. Toss a bottle in the ocean and then hope that eventually you'll find out where it went. Well, now scientists in California are doing something similar, and their bottles are coming back to them with some surprising information about deep ocean currents. We get the drift from Chuck Coppola.
It's going to be on this side of the post.
Like tossing a message in a bottle, Navy researchers are launching 6-foot-long glass cylinders off California's coast to see where they drift. The cylinders are stuffed with microelectronics, and the message that returns in this bottle will include data on ocean currents. Those currents can affect the Navy's ability to hear things like submarines.
It's military and safety. I mean, you have to navigate your ships as well as look for obstacles or look for adversaries.
The cylinder drops into the ocean with a lead weight. It sinks nearly a mile deep, and after taking measurements for 2 years, an electrical circuit burns a wire that drops the weight. The cylinder then bobs to the surface and transmits its data to a weather satellite overhead.
For years, oceanographers thought deep ocean currents were very still. Well, instead, off California's coast, they found an undercurrent that moves very fast, capable of carrying an object a distance of 12 to 15 miles a day. A current that's 20 miles wide and up to 3,000 feet deep.
While the California current on the surface flows from north to south, the cylinders, shown in yellow, flow in the opposite direction. This deep undercurrent is warmer and saltier. The confluence creates violent storms far beneath the surface.
The physics are quite similar to a storm in the atmosphere, where you have differences in pressure. You're going to generate some kind of instability that will lead to a storm.
Also, researchers find that the undercurrent carries nitrogen northward. That creates nutrients for phytoplankton, which in turn may boost populations of some fish. So while the research helps the Navy hunt for submarines, it may help fishermen hunt for fish. Chuck Coppola for CNN, Monterey, California.
Remembering to take your prescription medicine at the right time can be tough, especially if you have a lot of different pills and potions to swallow. As Ed Garston explains, familiar technology is being put to work in a new way to help solve that problem.
That pager.
Well, it's not that 13-year-old Matthew Sheldon is such a busy guy. He just has a lot to remember, like when to take all the medicines he needs to combat his asthma.
What I first use is this is my air chamber for my sear vent. This is my other aero chamber right there for my Aerobid, which I take 4 puffs twice a day. And I take theater, 300 milligrams twice a day. My prednisone.
So, he carries a special beeper called Dose Page. It reminds him when to take his medicines and how much.
It has the patient name,
the name of the medication they need to take, and any special taking instructions that they need to remember.
Matthew's doctor says the electronic reminder has made a real difference in his condition.
For the time that he has been using the pager, his asthma was under much better control, and we think that his quality of life was improved considerably.
Dr. Hurwitz estimates that patients forget to take their prescriptions about a quarter of the time. The company that makes dose page figures, that adds up to a big drain on the healthcare system due to the need for extra doctor and hospital visits.
It's estimated that noncompliance is costing about $76 billion per year.
So, even though the dose page costs about $30 a month, Matthew Sheldon's parents prefer that to the alternative.
Anytime you can keep a child out of a hospital, if they go on 3 or 4 days, the expenses on that, what you pay for this and whatnot, would far outweigh 4 or 5 days in a hospital.
And now, Matthew says, he sometimes beats the beeper to the punch.
Because it's there, the presence of it, just, you know that you're going to have to take it anyways because it's going to go off. You don't forget.
And when it comes to taking your medicine, you don't want to drop the ball. Ed Garston, CNN, Whitmore Lake, Michigan.
We're going to take a break, and then we'll check out some traditional musical instruments that are being put to new uses. But can they harmonize with today's computerized music technology? Oh, and speaking of computers, if you have access to the World Wide Web, visit our homepage. The location is CNN.com. You can access it through AT&T Business Network. Stay with us.
Honey, look, it's her. That lady from the Sprint commercials, about 10 cents a minute.
Hi, how are you?
I just love your dime-a-minute rate.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Me too. It's good anywhere in the country. And now I hear you can call all the way to Canada for a dime.
Canada? Really?
Oh, look at that. Special on paper towels.
Going to Canada? That's bigger news than anything you'll find in there.
This? Oh, this isn't mine. There.
Call now to get 10 cents a minute across the U.S. and now even to Canada.
Want to make painting easier? Change your roller to a Wagner cordless power roller. There's less mess, less hassle, and less bending over because you control the flow of paint. So you can just keep on rolling. In fact, with the power roller and its accessories, you'll get professional results nearly twice as fast. It even turns cleanup into an easy job. So get a cordless power roller from Wagner and transform every room in your house.
Imagine you're on a journey. How will you get there? Does it matter? Yes, it matters. You're on a journey, and the journey is the destination.
Tonight on TBS, witness avalanches, fire, and volcanoes when Mother Nature messes with man. On location in Hawaii, Violent Planet, 9 Eastern tonight. Turn to TBS.
Monday night on Larry King Live, the poor little rich girl who fought for happiness and success on her own terms, only to suffer once again a terrible loss. Gloria Vanderbilt, Monday night, 9 Eastern on CNN.
Modern music in the United States is going global, incorporating traditional sounds from many other countries. But the fate of the instruments that once created those sounds may be in jeopardy. As computers and new technologies strive to imitate the sounds, will these instruments become extinct? Ann Kellen returns with a musical medley of answers.
Musicians who want to set their music apart are rediscovering old world sounds.
It's primitive. The sound is definitely third world. It moves. This would be a very unusual sound to put on a video.
This is called the berimbau. It's a instrument that originally came from Africa, brought to Brazil by the captives of Africa, taken to Brazil as slaves.
I'm the only full-time bodhrán maker in the world. Bowron is the Irish drum.
The Bowron drum is featured in a new show in the Big Apple called River Dance.
Well, the different rhythms that we're playing in this particular drum that you have here with the hardware, this was developed in Cuba.
From Cuba to Ireland to Africa and the Mideast, musicians look for sounds that will make their music unique. Today, most of these sounds can be produced by computers or recorded electronically and played back on sampling devices.
When you hit the drum, it sends an impulse through the wire, which triggers a recorded drum sound. So when you play the pad, you actually hear a real drum sound. You can get like 21 different drum sets on one drum set. You know, you just turn one knob and you got a different sound.
Does this spell doom for traditional instruments?
And the wind goes through and gives that vibration. Okay, can you play this?
Hard to imagine a computer replacing this instrument, called a didgeridoo, made from a termite-hollowed eucalyptus tree in Australia. Jim Edward played the didgeridoo as a child. It was his job to make the sounds that would call the birds and the crocodiles.
What did that bring in?
That's the sound of the brolga bird flapping his wings. So that was my job to bring him in for dancing.
And they came and they responded?
Yeah. Brolga bird, he'll dance at 6 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the evening. And you see him dancing around with his wings. So that's the dance my people imitated.
This Aboriginal dance uses the didgeridoo to imitate the emu. Would an emu or brolga bird respond to this synthesized sound? That sound comes from a computer. Can you tell the difference between that and the real instrument? Could the didgeridoo go the way of the endangered species it was once designed to attract? Some say no.
The original instruments do have a unique sound to themselves, and they will never be perfectly reproduced by a computer.
Others say traditional instruments have already been replaced.
How many things that you hear on a record, excuse me, I'm showing my age, on a CD today are actually real sounds and non-sampled? I dare you. Tell me. Very few.
So they have already replaced them.
For all intents and purposes, in my opinion, yes. We're living in a polyethylene synthesized bit-byte world. That's reality.
Others predict computer and sampling devices will create a bigger demand and interest for the original instruments.
It's just never going to replace, I don't believe, the musician expressing himself through a chosen instrument.
Technology may keep the traditional sounds alive, but whether the primitive instruments that originally made the sounds will survive continues to be a matter of great debate. Ann Callan, CNN, Anaheim, California.
Well, it's time for us to beat a path on out of here. Thanks for joining us. I'm Miles O'Brien. Next week, we'll visit some researchers who study tornadoes and try to find out why tornadoes always sound just like a freight train coming through the living room. Twister Mysteries on the next edition of Science and Technology Week. We'll see you then.
Closed captioning was provided by Bell Atlantic, the heart of communication.
Hi, I'm Jean Meserve in Washington. The top stories are just ahead, then it's Travel Guide. Here's Valerie Voss with a preview.
Coming up, a celebration of Mexican history and culture. Hello, I'm Valerie Voss. We'll take you away from the tourist hotspots as we look at life in northern Mexico. Then we'll sample a bit of Mexico in the USA with a visit to San Diego's Old Town. That and more just ahead as we commemorate Cinco de Mayo on Travel Guide.
Tonight, is this how you think of Cuba? Castro, cigars, and sugarcane? You should meet their ball players. They're some of the best in the world. CNN presents tonight.
More like it. Soon I'll be far away from anyone who's ever even heard of 10 cents a minute from Sprint.
10 cents a minute?
1 cent dime.
A dime a minute is a wonderful deal.
And it's good forever. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. Simple as that. To think. After all my work, I'll be remembered as the dime lady. But I'm not going to think about that. That's why I'm taking this little trip to Hawaii.
Call now to get 10 cents a minute across the U.S. and now even to Canada.
The new Kubota G-Series with four-wheel steering.
Spring specials are going on now at Moen Machinery, your Kubota dealer in Gresham.
Find out who's in the Crossfire Sunday, tonight, 7:30 Eastern on CNN.
Welcome back to CNN Weekend. Travel Guide is just ahead, but first a check of the top stories. An Israeli police spokesman says his forces are on high alert amid reports at least 2 suicide bombers have slipped into the country. Efforts to disrupt elections May 29th are feared. The warnings come as Israeli and Palestinian delegations open their final and likely most delicate round of peace talks at an Egyptian resort. At issue, Jewish settlements on the West Bank and Gaza Strip and a future Palestinian capital in East Jerusalem. Don't expect any quick resolutions. Talks may stretch for 3 years. The scene in Liberia's capital, Monrovia, is described as utter chaos today as rival militias trade fire and set buildings ablaze. The U.S. military managed to evacuate 33 people Saturday, choppering them to nearby Sierra Leone. In the past month of bloodshed, the U.S. has evacuated some 2,100 people. Tens of thousands of others have fled to rural areas. Iraq and the United Nations resumed talks Monday on a possible plan to ease the international embargo against Iraqi oil. The plan would allow Baghdad to sell limited amounts of oil in exchange for food and other humanitarian supplies. Past failure to reach a deal is being cited as one reason for the recent surge in U.S. gas prices. Analysts say Iraq's return to the international oil market would increase gas supplies and lower prices. The high price of gas is becoming a big issue in this year's presidential campaign. Republicans are on the offensive, calling for a repeal of President Clinton's 4.3 cents gas tax hike of 1993. The always politically charged issue of abortion, meanwhile, is dividing the GOP. Some leading Republican governors are urging their party to soften its anti-abortion plank. Other Republican activists are vowing not to allow changes. House Speaker Newt Gingrich says the party can accommodate all.
First of all, the Republican Party is a very broadly based party. We are, I believe, a right-to-life party, but with a very big pro-choice wing. And you have people like Governor Weld and Governor Whitman and Governor Pataki, Governor Wilson, who feel strongly about their position. I think that ought to all be discussed between now and August, and I think during the platform week they ought to find the widest possible way to bring people together. But I think we'll remain a pro-life party, but we'll also recognize we have a very large pro-choice wing.
Republican Congressman Henry Hyde, who will chair the GOP's platform committee, has promised there will be no change in the GOP's opposition to abortion. And that's a check of the top stories. We'll have more at the top of the hour. Now, please stay tuned for Travel Guide and a Mexican adventure in honor of Cinco de Mayo. That's coming up next.
The culture of Mexico. Vibrant, spiritual. Today, we'll show you there's more to Mexico than beaches and border towns as we sample life away from the tourist meccas. Then we'll look at Mexico's influence north of the border as we visit Old Town and Mission San Diego in Southern California. And we'll learn about the music of mariachi in Arizona. Get ready to celebrate Cinco de Mayo, Travel Guide style. We begin our travels today at the Michael C. Carlos Museum on the campus of Emory University. The museum houses 15,000 ancient art objects with a rotating display of about 1,000 items, many from Mexico. Hello and welcome to Travel Guide. I'm Valerie Voss. This weekend is Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May. The Mexican holiday commemorates an important day in the history of the country. On May 5th, 1862, the Mexican army defeated invading French troops in the city of Puebla. Mexicans are particularly proud of the victory because they were outnumbered nearly 3-1. France returned to capture Puebla a year later, but Mexico has never forgotten its stirring victory the first time around. In honor of Cinco de Mayo, this week's program looks at the culture of Mexico, both in and outside its borders. In today's cover story, CNN's Stephanie Oswald takes us into the countryside to see a part of Mexico that's truly off the beaten path.
In this country, history is proclaimed all over, even at school band practice. Entertaining some of the visitors who've come to sample life here in Mexico. In places such as Los Mochis and El Fuerte in the northwestern part of Mexico, visitors can savor the flavor of this country at their own pace. This hotel is a 125-year-old hacienda, still wreathed by bougainvillea. The sala and some of the original bedrooms are furnished with 19th century pieces brought by ship from San Francisco, and then inland. At the turn of the century, the cacique, the biggest cattle rancher in town, lived here and ran his empire.
This is a beautiful hotel, colonial style, which is very colorful and old.
Colorful and old. Two words that often describe what you'll find all over this part of Mexico. You can spend a day lingering, or checking out the action, shopping, or just wandering, soaking up the atmosphere.
Learning about people's ways and seeing people in their own environments, learning about how they live.
There are times when old meets new. Where you can sample the hospitality and still feel at home.
I speak very little Spanish, a few words, and enough to get by. I think there's enough people that speak English or American that they can get by on. We haven't had any problems.
It's just a whole different way of life, a different experience than most vacations.
Sometimes it's simply impossible not to get involved. Stephanie Oswald, CNN, El Fuerte, Mexico.
In today's newsreel, it's billed as the largest international festival in the United States. World Fest 96 continues this weekend in Branson, Missouri. More than 250 performers from 17 countries are celebrating with music, culture, and food. The festival is part of Silver Dollar City, a park with an 1890s theme. It runs through May 12th. And travelers planning a trip to Mexico might want to visit the country's official homepage on the World Wide Web. The site offers tips ranging from what to pack to information on archaeological sites, even hints on where to find the best Mexican beaches. Internet surfers should head for this address, mexico-travel.com. For CNN Travel Guide, I'm Sean McMahon.
If you're a U.S. citizen, you won't need a passport to travel to Mexico, but you should take a photo ID with you. Also, if you stay more than 3 days or travel more than 20 miles away from the U.S.-Mexico border, you will need a tourist card. Coming up, we'll cross back into the U.S. for a look at Mexico's influence in this country. We'll start with this old town in Southern California. Stay with us.
Two things are important to Asiana Airlines. One is the world's environment and the health of its people, which is why Asiana was the first airline with completely smoke-free flights worldwide. Equally important is that we fly the world's youngest fleet, younger than Singapore Airlines, to take you safely to your destination with exquisite cuisine, fine wines, personal video monitors, spacious seating, and warm hospitality. Asiana Airlines, the jewel of Asia.
Up here, I feel like traffic is miles away.
With Yukon's commanding view and accommodating size,
unlike some others, I have virtually unlimited capacity.
Yukon can make you feel invincible. Yukon by GMC. It puts you comfortably in command.
When was the last time you saw the world and felt that it, for once, revolved around you? When was the last time you watched an eagle fish for salmon, rode a Gladstone train, or saw a bear from your balcony? And when was the last time you witnessed Mother Nature recreating herself? Holland America Line. It's time.
You may leave North Carolina's coast once you've finished vacationing here. But one thing's for sure. North Carolina's coast will never leave you.
Tomorrow, the NBA playoffs continue. The Sonics took Game 1 with authority. Can the reigning champs retaliate in Game 2? Rockets, Sonics, tomorrow at 9 on TNT.
Welcome back to Travel Guide. Spanish explorers to the New World established missions to convert the native people to Catholicism and to teach them Spanish. The Mexico that evolved from Spain's conquest extended well into what is now the United States, including the entire state of California. If you cross into the state from Mexico, you'll find you don't have to go very far to get the flavor of the old country inside the USA.
You may know San Diego, California for its zoo or its bay. But what about its heritage? California's second largest city is less than a 30-minute drive from Mexico. San Diego boasts a large and vibrant Hispanic community, and many in it are eager to share their culture with visitors.
It gives us a chance to express our pride, for our culture and dancing and smiling, and we enjoy performing for people. We like putting smiles on people's faces.
San Diego's Latin roots date back more than 200 years. Latinos have been helping to shape the city since this was the skyline. Welcome to Old Town. It's the early 1820s, and California is part of Mexico. A new plaza is built by settlers like the Estudillo family. Their adobe home, or hacienda, is one of Old Town's main attractions.
All of the beams that you see up in the ceiling are all bound and tied with rawhide, and this is just the way it was done originally.
Casa de Estudillo is a window on the past.
They would bake their bread in here. They would grind the corn on metates and make the dough, put it in here, and let it bake.
Getting hungry? Then stroll next door to the Bazar del Mundo for fresh tortillas and other foods. After all, you'll need your energy for shopping. And don't miss the show, folkloric dancing by the Hispanic Mexican Ballet and other troupes. The performers are authentic right down to their costumes.
This dress is from the state of Chihuahua. This is what a typical dress that a woman would wear in Chihuahua back in the days, and they would put their hair in a braid like this, but we use yarn now because not all of we have long enough hair to braid it all up.
Old Town became a state historic park in 1968, and this year is Bazar del Mundo's 25th year in business.
More than 5 million people visit both attractions each year. Heritage and history. For Old Town San Diego, they are the fountains of youth. A more sacred relic of San Diego's Spanish past lies about 5 miles east of Old Town. CNN's Steve Nettleton gives us a tour.
This is Mission San Diego de Alcalá. It's more than 200 years old, but this landmark in San Diego is still an active church. The mission was built in 1769 to help Spain stake its claim to California. 20 more Spanish missions were later built throughout California, as far north as the San Francisco Bay Area. Father Unipero Serra was in charge. Serra was born in Spain. He worked in Mexico before heading north to found Mission San Diego.
And on the first day, he hung a bell from a tree. He built a simple altar, and he said a mass and dedicated Mission San Diego de Alcalá as the first of the California missions.
Serra's task wasn't easy. There wasn't enough drinking water, the land was poor, and there was tension with the native people who lived in the area. In 1774, the mission moved 6 miles east to what its leaders hoped was a better spot. But barely a year later, hundreds of Kumeyaay Indians burned it down. Serra, whose approach to the Indians is criticized today, oversaw the mission's reconstruction. Some of the original adobe bricks remain. The new building was damaged in an 1803 earthquake, and by the 1830s, the Spanish missions had lost much of their power. But despite its many trials, Mission San Diego remains a place of peace.
The canopy is indicative that we are a basilica. A basilica is a church of very important historical significance, and it's an honor bestowed upon a church by the Pope. And if the Pope were ever to visit San Diego, this would be his official headquarters.
A museum with artifacts and photos reveals the mission's story. Mission San Diego is open to visitors and worshipers alike, with masses held each weekend. With its pioneer past, California's first Spanish mission blends faith with history for all to experience. For CNN Travel Guide, I'm Steve Nettleton.
In addition to California's 21 missions, the Spanish also founded them in places that have become modern-day Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. Many of the missions have long since closed. A few, like Mission San Diego, still function as churches, and others, like the Alamo in San Antonio, Texas, have become museums. This week's geography quiz question also has a Mexican theme. We want you to name the 10 U.S. states that were once part of Mexico. Don't let the Spanish missions throw you off. Just because a state has one doesn't necessarily mean it was part of Mexico. The answers are coming up, and also ahead, we'll get a lesson in mariachi, the national music of Mexico. Don't go away.
Do you dream in color? Hot pink, perhaps. Blue. Gold. Aquamarine. Ah, red. The big red boat. And then a Walt Disney World Resort vacation. All for very little green. Free vacation planning kit, 1-800-DREAM-54.
Now you don't have to wait to save on international calls. With MCI World Savings, you're guaranteed one low rate, 24 hours a day to each country when you call any number you've selected. Places like Japan, France, the United Kingdom, and Mexico City. That's MCI's lowest rate day or night. So no matter where you call, you always save over AT&T. Call 1-800-999-4400 to join MCI World, for citizens of the world.
You can depend on us when you need to be recharged. But AAA is also there when you want to be revitalized, buffeted, toasted,
razzled and dazzled by Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world. When members book, they get special savings on Carnival Fun Ship cruises. 3 days start at just $2.99 per person. For details on our Carnival offers or AAA membership, call 1-800-374-1106.
Travel with someone you trust.
AAA.
Relax. You are now entering a stress-free zone. A free breakfast will be prepared for you daily. You will rest in a comfortable 2-room suite. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Unwind with evening beverages and enjoy yourself here, because eventually you'll have to go back out there. Embassy Suites, twice the hotel. Call 1-800-EMBASSY.
Welcome back to Travel Guide. No Cinco de Mayo celebration would be complete without some good Mexican cooking. So we've moved over to the Nuevo Laredo Cantina, which is said to have some of the best in Atlanta. Now, the answer to this week's geography quiz question isn't only tough, it's also complicated. Remember, we asked you to name the 10 U.S. states that were once part of Mexico. Now, here's the answer. Texas and parts of present-day New Mexico, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, and Wyoming were annexed by the U.S. in 1845. That led to war with Mexico. After the war ended in 1848, the U.S. gained land that would help form the states of California, Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. In 1853, the transfer of land was completed when the U.S. bought some of Mexico. The Gadsden Purchase became the southern part of Arizona and New Mexico. Needless to say, the 1800s weren't a period of peaceful relations between the U.S. and Mexico. Of course, if you've ever been to Mexico, you've heard the sounds of a mariachi band, but you don't have to cross the border to experience this distinctive Mexican music. Travel Guide was recently in Tucson, Arizona, where we spent some time with some students learning the art of mariachi. Here's CNN's Kaylin Thomas Samuel.
Sixth period begins. The sounds of music drift into the sky. But this is not just any music or just any teacher. It's a lesson in mariachi music at Sunnyside High School in Tucson, Arizona. Here, age-old mariachi songs are being taught to a new generation by professional mariachi musician Cuco del Cid. Mariachi originated in Mexico. It's a lively yet sentimental type of music. The name is derived from the French word for marriage, mariage. Del Cid's daily class is a unique opportunity for its pupils to learn these romantic and historic ballads as a part of their educational experience.
They really enjoy it. They want to learn. They want. I hear sometimes they say, I want to play the violin like him. I wish to play the violin like him or the trumpet. This is very enjoyable.
After the sun goes down, Del Cid takes on another role, playing his beloved mariachi music for the crowds at Tucson's La Fuente restaurant. A typical mariachi ensemble includes a guitar player, a bass player, a violinist, and a trumpeter. They stroll the streets, or in this case the restaurant, serenading. 45 miles south of Tucson in a place called Tumacacori, another sensory experience awaits. The Santa Cruz Chili and Spice Company. This small family-owned company packages 18 basic spices under its own label and sells more than 140 varieties of palate-pleasing herbs, seasonings, and chilies. From Santa Cruz's signature chili paste and chili powder to its 4 unique varieties of jalapeno sauces. Visitors leave with the ingredients and the instructions to create their own Southwestern dishes. If they can't find an ingredient for a creation here, it may not be worth fixing anyway. Kaylin Thomas Samuel, CNN Travel Guide.
From chili peppers and mariachi bands to Old Town and Los Mochis, we hope your taste for Mexico has been satisfied this holiday weekend. Our Cinco de Mayo celebration is just about come to an end, but stay tuned. Next week we're going offshore for an underwater adventure. We'll show you where we're going diving right after the break.
You can depend on us when you need to be routed, but AAA is also there when you want to be sedan, minivan, convertible, town card, high-weight, by-weight, and equipped with exactly the right car from Hertz, our exclusive car rental partner. Because Hertz offers AAA members discounts plus other great benefits. For details on our members-only Hertz savings, call 1-800-654-3080.
Travel with someone you trust.
AAA.
When was the last time you were serenaded? When was the last time someone made your bed, your meals, and you alone the center of attention? And when was the last time you let your cares dissolve into the colors of the setting sun? Holland America Line. It's time.
Hi, Lauren Sidney. Next week on Showbiz Today, Helen Hunt has her life turned upside down in Twister. Also, original gangsters make a blast from the past. Those stories next week, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on CNN.
It's just about time for us to sign off, but before we go, we want you to know that Travel Guide is internet connected. We now have our own email address. You can message us at travelguide@turner.com. Let us know what you think of our program and where you might like us to take you next. Thanks for joining us today, and happy Cinco de Mayo to you. I'm Valerie Voss. We'll see you next week.
CNN is on the World Wide Web at CNN.com. And for more business-related news, explore the CNN site on the AT&T Business Network.
Hello, I'm Martin Savage at CNN Center in Atlanta. Time now for a check of the weather with Ted Texter. Ted?
Hi, Martin. Hello, everybody. Today, it's very much a replay of yesterday, weather-wise. Look at the middle sections of the United States. The big cloudiness blowing up. The storm systems within it are producing, again, a lot of very heavy weather. High winds, hail, very, very strong rain showers. And you can see it on the radar scope, somewhat isolated across parts of Illinois, Indiana. It's moving into now. Down into Kentucky, another round of very heavy thunderstorms moving on through the Paducah area. And then on to the east, Louisville. You could see some more hail again today. All the way to London could see some showers and thunderstorms. Under the gun, heavy to severe weather, a possibility all the way to the coast, just about anyway. Beginning to cancel out farther westward now, the severe weather, as it's pushing farther eastward. At the same time, Great Lakes region, we've got some rain and some snow there. Could continue into the morning. Martin?
Thank you, Ted. Coming up, the game of political maneuvering moves into high gear in Washington, and much of it is driven by economic issues, including the rising cost of gasoline. Israelis and Palestinians gather at a Red Sea resort to talk peace. On the table, some of the toughest issues still to be resolved. And in Los Angeles, one mail carrier goes beyond the call of duty to deliver some peace of mind to those who need it. Stay with CNN. The day's top stories and much more news just ahead on Early Prime.
Monday night on Larry King Live, Gloria Vanderbilt's heartbreaking memoir of a son's suicide. Monday night, 9 Eastern on CNN.
AMC presents the magic musical My Fair Lady.
I could have danced all night.
Join us for a special screening of this magnificently restored classic with Rex Harrison and screen legend Audrey Hepburn.
Large inventory, low price. It's crazy enough, it just might work.
If you don't come see him today, he can't save you any money.
The trail of the Olympic torch in Oregon at 11.